Cool. Well, hello everyone to today's Fun Friday free online public speaking class. My name is Tom Hendrick. I am the founder of Tom Hendrick Public Speaking, and it is my absolute pleasure today to be working with you all today to improve your confidence and public speaking skills. We've got a really exciting session today. We're going to be learning about the art of engaging audiences through visually descriptive communication, otherwise known as storytelling. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and what's going to happen is you should see a number of offerings that we have today. So this is a new website that I've come up with in the last month. I'm doing these Fun Fridays to help people gain access to public speaking training for free and also for very, very affordable prices. So there's heaps of content on my website that you can check out. Some of it's still under construction, but it will become released basically every day, every week. There'll be some new stuff on there. In addition to the free content on the website, today we're covering storytelling. On another session, we'll cover the ability to speak without a script or answer questions in, say, a job interview, or if you're at a work presentation and you need to be able to answer questions on the spot without much preparation. I also have a YouTube channel where new content gets published really regularly, and I'm going to try to publish more and more frequently. And I also have a system where if you're interested in free coaching, the first session is free. And if you want to have coaching that's just at an absolutely unbeatable price, there's some ways that you can earn credits so that you can get that really good buying power for personal one-on-one coaching. Things like leaving a generous Google review can save you $50 off of coaching. Referring a friend so that they come to one of these sessions or get their first session free. That's another way of making coaching more affordable. And if you pay same day as well, I really respect that. So I take a bit off the price for doing that. But today's not about self-promotion. Today's about helping everyone become more confident and engaging speakers. So I'm going to start today with how to be a more engaging speaker by using visually descriptive language. And a good way of looking at this is if ever you have to speak, say, on YouTube or on a podcast, or you're doing a speech to your team or at a conference, there's got to be a lot of time where you're talking and it seems like the audience isn't saying anything. And so that's why we need engagement, because if you're talking and people switch off or they start looking at their phone and they're getting bored, it doesn't matter if you're saying important things, they're not listening. That's the power of engagement. And that brings me to a second really important point, which is that one of the most unintuitive things about communication is that it is always a two-way communication, even when you're the speaker and everyone else seems to be listening. If you think about great communicators like, say, a comedian, when they're speaking, they're setting up and telling jokes, the audience is actually saying something back. But what they're saying back, might be laughter, which is easy to hear, but they might be saying something else back, but it's hard to hear or detect. They could be imagining the scenario in their head, or they could be trying to answer a question that you've proposed to the audience. And so things like thinking, imagining, laughing, head nodding, taking notes, all of these things are a way of detecting that you're communicating successfully. So if you're a comedian, everything you do that isn't setting up and delivering laughter is an improvable, removable a line in your script. So saying things so that the audience says something back, like laughter, is what you're trying to achieve. When you're a storyteller, you're not necessarily trying to get laughter, but you're saying something to the audience and you're trying to get them to say something back. And what you're trying to get them to say back so that they're engaged is imagination. And I don't mean that in a fluffy sense. I mean that in an image generation sense. You'll be saying something to them and they will be generating images in their head about what you're saying. And that's something playful and enjoyable for your audience to do. And that's what will keep them engaged. So we're going to learn the art of speaking so that the audience is doing something while you're speaking. And the productive thing they're doing while you're speaking is image generation. So there's a YouTube video on this in case you want to look into this in more detail. This is a summary about what's covered in case you don't listen to the whole video. But I'd like to start with a demonstration that this idea of image generation in the audience's mind is a really productive and powerful thing to do. This is called the aphantasia test. It's a real test. and it determines how well people are able to generate images in their mind. So what I'd like you to do is keep your eyes open, but I want you to listen really carefully to what I'm saying and try to create these images in your mind. I want you to imagine an apple. The apple is about the size of my fist. I want you to see it in your mind. It's a red apple. It's a very healthy apple. Coming out of this apple is a little wooden stem. Coming out of that wooden stem is a green leaf. It's a very healthy leaf. It's got a seam that goes down the middle of it, and it goes from being wide to tapering to a tip. And it's got heft to it. So the gravity is sort of causing this leaf to bend down. Now I want you to imagine that the apple is not a red, fleshy, organic apple anymore, but it's a diamond. It's a diamond, a crystal in the shape of an apple. So it has an apple shape, but it has gem cuttings. It sparkles. It's red, like a ruby, you can sort of see through it, not really. So take this glittery, crystal-like thing in the shape of an apple with a wooden stem and a healthy green leaf. And now I want you to take that object and rotate it in your brain. See it rotating. And stop. And so what I'd like to do now is, Daniel, could you turn your mic on if you wouldn't mind? Could you see the apple? Tell us what you could see.
So yeah, I think I could see I could definitely imagine the apple, in the sort of the red shape with the with the wooden, I guess, stick coming out of it, and then the other leaf. Yeah, I guess probably the only difference, I guess, between what I was imagining and guess what you were saying is that when you said it was crystal initially, that mental switch went from like a red apple to like a clear, transparent diamond crystal.
Yeah, like a white, incandescent, colorless sort of crystal.
Yeah, like I guess a traditional sort of diamond color. I didn't have that red, reddish hue into it. Into obviously,
Could you try a little bit harder and see it, or is it like a real struggle to get the apple to turn red?
So after you, I guess after you use the word red apple, I guess it was relatively easy. But I guess it was sort of my mental default to a clear, transparent. Awesome.
And you could rotate it as well. You could see it sort of spinning and glistening and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So after, I guess, one rotation, it looked. I guess when I mentally rotated it, it also seemed to move slightly horizontally as well. So it was rotated. So I was like, I guess when I was also mentally picturing it, it wasn't like a perfectly spherical apple. It almost ended up being a cylindrical apple, I guess.
No, it's stretched kind of thing. So cool.
When it was like 30 degrees, I guess it looked.
And the last question I have for you, Daniel, is when the apple started misbehaving, so like you rotated it but it moved or it stretched, was that like a strain for you? Like you felt like you had to fight, like the image in your head kind of thing?
I'd say it's one of those. If I wanted to try and bring it back to what a traditional spherical apple, then yes, I guess. Yeah. Then I'd say because I guess it defaulted to that weird spherical oblongy shape as it rotated.
Pratipa, if you wouldn't mind, feel free to turn your mic on. I'd really like to hear if you could see the apple in your mind. But if you prefer not to speak, that's okay. But feel free to turn your mic on at any moment and let us know your comments. Or even let us know in the chat as well. So what I want to talk about is why this is important. We mentioned before that when a storyteller speaks successfully, they're saying things to the audience, but what they're choosing to say are words that have high imaginative reaction from the audience. It generates images in their mind. And so this test is designed in such a way that imagining this apple becomes increasingly complicated over time. It starts off as a basic apple. You then have to imagine an apple and a stem, an apple stem and then a leaf. The leaf kind of has like a life of its own because it bends in gravity and it sort of grows as I describe it. You then have to stop remembering the apple and imagining something very difficult to imagine, like an inorganic diamond thing, but with organic parts like a stem and a leaf. And then you take all of those objects and then you animate them with glistening descriptions and you rotate them. So the object gets sort of harder and harder and more complex to imagine. And that puts a strain on people's image generation capabilities, and it shows where people fit on this spectrum. There are a lot of people, and there's no shame in this, who have something called aphantasia, the inability to generate images in their mind. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like being left-handed. About 1 in 12 people have it. My former roommate had it. When I did the Apple aphantasia test with him, he at best saw text and he'd normally see nothing. He just saw the word like apple in his head. That was it. And this is like being left-handed. There's nothing wrong with it. It just means your brain is wired in such a way as to prefer rendering things in abstract concepts and thoughts rather than tangible images. If you're someone like me, you're kind of second from the left. So believe it or not, my brain sees this really faded, discolored sort of image. I can vaguely see such a description as the aphantasia test. And when I read books, I can vaguely picture the scene and the characters and what's going on. But it feels like I have to pedal the bike really, really hard, really, really fast, or else the image just instantly goes away. It's a lot of effort for me to see it. Someone like you, Daniel, is probably not quite in the middle, wherein you can see the image and it behaves itself. You're probably closer toward the hyperphantasia side of the spectrum. You can see the image, and your brain is being a little bit mischievous. It's adding extra stuff that you didn't ask it to, or that I didn't tell you about. So this is indicators of someone who really gets a lot out of storytelling, because not only do you see the image easily without strain, but your brain likes to play with it. We'll start to imagine things that aren't there. It'll want to continue the story as if you're the narrator, not me. And there's a strength and a weakness to that. The strength to that is that storytelling for you will probably come easier than it would for other people, because images render easily in your mind. And so you'll be able to tell stories well from memory, or if you've looked at an image for a few seconds, you'll be able to tell a good story based on a simple prompt. The thing you'll have to struggle with is compliance. So because the image keeps morphing and shifting, controlling detail, like learning when to stop, learning how to stick to one thing and not sort of go off topic, will be a strain. The last level, and this is a super fascinating one, I love talking to people who get up to the last level, is called synesthesia. Synesthesia is sensory crossover. That's where if I describe an apple visually, your brain will hear it crunch. Does that make sense? So not just visual stimulus, but now like audible listening stimulus will come into it. You might also feel the apple. When you bite into it, your teeth might actually feel cold when I describe the apple, or even if it's a diamond shape, you might feel like the cold sort of feel of a diamond, These are the sort of people who, when they listen to stories, they become quite emotional. They listen to music, they feel like they can see colors. This is a really interesting phenomenon in some people. It's rare, but a lot of people still have it. What this framework tells us is that choosing to speak in visually descriptive language has a really beneficial effect on most people, like 99% of people. And only people with aphantasia, I think, will struggle with storytelling. Everyone else gets to participate. We tell a story to them, they can see and continue it themselves. And so let's learn how to do it. This is another fantastic technique for if you want to start a YouTube channel or have a podcast. Learning to speak in visually descriptive words that let people generate an image in their head, will mean that on YouTube or on podcasts, you will get a lot more watch time. People will listen for a lot longer because they're not getting lost in bogged down in the details and things like that of it. Now I'm going to zoom in just so that this can be really big for people, because I feel like on the thing it's not big enough. Is that big enough? Everyone can see that a bit better? Yeah. Just so you see, that's what the bigger aphantasia image looks like. This is the first public speaking exercise we're going to do. So if you're comfortable, feel free to unmute your mic and give this a go, or you can mute your mic and just do this privately in your own personal time. What we're going to do is something called Say What You See Level 1. I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. And what I want you to do In fact, I want everyone to turn their mics off. I want you to do this maybe privately first, and then we can present to the group second. So have a go at this privately, and then have a go publicly. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. And what I want you to do is look at this image of a broken house and say only what you can literally see. So if I were to do it now, I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds, and it would sound something like this. This is a 3-story house. Out the front of this house is a steel-colored chain link fence that has a padlock on it. Between the fence and the house is grass. The grass is green, unkempt, and very high. The house is broken in many respects. The windows are missing. They're replaced with wooden boarded windows. There are foundations that are cracked and ajar. This house is cracked, broken, rusted, and old. Stop. That's 30 seconds. And so you'll notice I didn't say things like, this is a bad house. I don't like this house. I didn't talk about the inside of the house or behind the house. I only talked about things that I could physically see. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds, and I want everyone with their mics muted just to privately say what they can see for 30 seconds, and then we'll report back. 3, 2, 1, go. Say what you see. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. Okay, now if you want to, I'd encourage people to turn their mics on, and I want to hear your feedback. How did you think you went?
I think I did fine. So we were meant to be looking at the picture as we were describing it, weren't we?
That's right. So the house.
Okay, yeah.
I guess one question I have for you is, did you find yourself straining? Did you have to think and reach for the next word, that sort of thing?
Yes, yeah, I did a lot of and ahhing. I think over time it sort of, particularly, there was a curve, I guess.
You did well at the beginning. You were doing less well at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So what that shows is that when it comes to storytelling, although on that aphantasia spectrum you have a lot of great potential for storytelling, what we need to do now is look at your current ability level. And so we might call this a mind-mouth connection, wherein you have a good vocabulary, Daniel, to list all the objects and colors and sizes and things like that you can see on this image. But they're kind of locked behind a brain that's not behaving like with you. So when people look at something and they go, I know what that is, it's a window, we're lacking that mind-mouth connection. And this is a fantastic exercise. You take a high definition image, you give yourself a budget of time, like 30 seconds, a minute, or a minute and a half, and you try to speak without umming and ahhing and learn to be able to bring out that vocabulary on command, basically. Pratibha, I would be really interested to see what you have to say. Feel free to add it in the comments, or if you really want to, unmute your mic, and I'd love to hear how you went with this exercise. Okay, feel free to turn your mic on at any time, but you can also spectate if you prefer, or leave a comment. And so this is a really good exercise to see where you're at with your storytelling fitness. And it's okay if you don't do well on your first attempt. You can rapidly improve the more you do it. So Pratibha has asked, about the exercise. Yeah. So if you want to talk to us about how you went with the exercise, if you spent 30 seconds trying to say what you could see, and let us know if you found it hard, if you found it easy, if you ummed and ahed, if you found it hard to reach for the words, if it came out really easily for you. Really interested to hear how you went. And so what we can do is increase the difficulty or combine different skills. So say what you see level 1, is a very good exercise for being compliant and developing that fundamental mind-mouth connection. Being able to look at an object and have the words come out and not have to strain for them too much. We can add an extra exercise to this called Say What You See Level 2. Now you'll see here a house, but then you'll also see that it's cut in half and the rest of it is blacked out. So Say What You See Level 2 is to spend an amount of time saying what you can see, but then to spend an amount of time saying something that you can't see. So you might describe the house in its present state that you can see, and then you might talk about what the house used to look like when it was in its best form. So what would this house look like if it was fixed or if it wasn't broken? What would it look like if we went inside? What would it look like if we demolished it and replaced it with something completely different? That's Say What You See Level 2. We've got a prompt image that we can look at, but then we can use that image to then extend our imagination beyond it. So that's a really powerful exercise. And if you do this in pairs with other people, you can look at an image, describe it to someone, and then see how much of that image they can describe back. You know, basically, you're looking at an image that only you can see, they can't. And then if they can explain it back to you, it shows that the image has gone from your head to theirs. And that's a way of testing your storytelling fitness. So what I want to do is, Daniel, if you wouldn't mind, you, unmute yourself. Would you like to spend 20 seconds describing the house you can see and then 20 seconds describing what it could be?
Yep, sounds good. Are you going to give the 20-second warning mark, or am I going to?
I'll say change, and you can go. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yep. So imagine a broken down house with a grey roof tiles. There's large holes in the roof. On the front, there's a black door. It's hidden behind a grey steel gate and a cement fence. The cement fence is also broken. It's unkempt.
Change. Say what it could be.
But in the past, it used to be a large, luxurious mansion. There was paved white tiles across the floor on the way to the door. The grass was completely freshly mowed with dandelions and other flowers littering the grass. A large tree out front. If you opened the door and went inside, you'd see wooden.
Stop. Well done, Daniel. Round of applause for you.
Thank you.
Shows that you have good potential to not only say what you can see, but also to extend that to what it could be. And I think we can attribute the ease of your performance in the second half to the fact that you sit a little bit higher on that aphantasia, hyperphantasia spectrum. Your ability to say things that aren't on the image, but could be there, like the freshly mowed grass, you know, dandelions and other garden features, as well as like looking at the house in its more restored form. That sounds like it came fairly easily to you.
Yeah, I think so.
You go.
I was going mentally, initially mentally as if you're walking around the house and sort of like trying to do that rotation of you can rotate it through time.
There you go. So that's a really good thing to do. Imagine you're actually a person in the story and you're just giving us a bird's eye view or an eye, like a first person view of like what you see. That's a fantastic way of being able to just generate a script without having to write it down in advance. Pratibha, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, what I see is an abandoned house with broken and rusty walls, with fence around it, and that's it. Like I could see what in the picture, but if I have to tell someone like what I am seeing, like I find it very difficult to explain to others. Like I feel like they are not understanding what I am trying to tell to them. Like they could not picture what I am picturing or seeing the same thing.
So, Pratibha, there's a few things that we can do there, because I believe that you're not very far away from being able to become a good storyteller. And if that's a concern that you have with speaking, I'd love to show you some things that you can do to improve upon that skill so that you can be very confident when it comes to expressing an image that you have in your head. Would you be interested in that?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So something that we can do is, and I'll skip over this next exercise because it's fairly self-explanatory. This is Say What You See level 3. You'll know that there's no prompt image, but you've all probably still got an image in your head of what the house looked like. I've just taken it away from you. And so the third level that you can do is learn to speak from an image that's a memory as opposed to an image that's in front of you. It's a bit easier to speak with a prompt image. It's a bit harder to speak from a memory. But a lot of presentations are Say What You See level 3 exercises. Like when you speak on a conference, often you don't have, like a slide, or the slide will have ideas or images that only are in your memories, and you have to put them into the audience's mind. And so this is a really good way to progress your fitness from level 1, from level 2, from level 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, Pratibha, while your mic is on, I want to Daniel, could I ask you to close your eyes for about 15 seconds? All right, you're going to close your eyes for 15 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. Daniel's got his eyes closed. Pratibha, keep your eyes open. Can you see this image right here?
Yeah, I can.
I want you to keep that image right now and turn an image of it in your mind, and I'm going to take it away. So, Daniel, open your eyes.
Yep.
Pratibha, would you mind taking, say, 15, 20 seconds to say what you saw?
Okay, I can.
I believe you can do this. I know that public speaking is really hard. I believe you can do it. If you don't want to, there'll be plenty of opportunities to try again, either in this session or another free Friday session. But you can do it. We believe in you. It's the safest place in the world to practice. Okay, Pratibha, it's okay. What you can do is put your mic on mute for a second. I'll do a demonstration, and you just let us know if you'd be ready to try this again, okay? You don't have to do it this session. You could do it in a future session. But like I said, the safest room in the world. So, Daniel, imagine a man with a light beard in the middle of a green florist shop. The floor, the walls, the ceiling are packed with ferns, with jagged leaves dangling at an angle from the floor, the ceiling, the walls. He has a tin steel water bucket, and he's watering the greenery. Stop. So, Daniel, now that I've got an image in my head and I've said it in a visually descriptive way to you, now you have some image in your head. I want you to say it to me.
Yep. So I'm imagining an old man with a light beard. He's wearing sort of old dark grey sort of clothes in the middle of a very cramped shop where you buy plants. I can't remember the. Yeah. There's dangling vines and large, thick, not really urns, but pots with very old, several-year-old plants. He's watering the plant, and it's you can hear the water draining, falling down and splashing onto the leaves as it's going.
And this is what you were looking at, Daniel. So not a perfect one-for-one image, but nevertheless a pretty close approximation of what we were talking about. And that's a very improvised way of telling a story. The idea is that if you want to, prepare and improve upon a story, you can think about the words that would create these really intense images in people's minds. So, where people are, what they look like, what clothes they're wearing, what the plants look like as a whole or individually, and being able to control these details is the art of storytelling. Enough details that it conjures a really powerful image in people's mind, not so much that it becomes like blurry and confusing to people. Prativa, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, like the way you have like tell about the picture, okay, like the ceilings, the plants, and everything. And I have only like two lines in my mind. It was there is a man in nursery and he was watering the plants. So that's what I am saying. Like I can see like there are plants and the place is compact, full of plants. But like I like I didn't I could not tell others. Like what I'm saying, like I have a very like using very short few words only sentences to explain like what the picture is, like how you and Daniel and Thomas like I do not have words now.
That's okay. I think there are three really important things that we can talk about what you've said. So you mentioned before that when you try to like talk to other people about stories or ideas, or like say talk about your weekend, that sort of thing, you tend to find that this is what I heard, you tend to use few words instead of like more colorful and illustrative words to explain a situation. Secondly, it might be that you might want to add more words that would have more impact and color to them, but you might find your brain sometimes doesn't come up with them in the moment. Like it goes a bit cloudy or panicked. Yeah, and the third thing would be like, when do I know when to add more or or less to that situation? So three things we can talk about there is, one is the idea of a mind-mouth connection. So a really good exercise is to take these high definition photos, things like this, ones with more or less details on them. This is quite a detailed photo of a wedding. There's lots of architecture, clothing, and things to talk about. This is a difficult image because there's less things to talk about. There's a lot of red chairs. They're all very similar. There's not a lot of other stuff to talk about. But you could, if you're really good at this, you could still spend, if you're an expert, 5 minutes saying unique and interesting things about this image, because you've got such a powerful vocabulary and mind-mouth connection. And it's a fitness, it's a muscle that you can develop, just a little bit every day for a few days in a row. And if you've done 20 minutes a day for 4 days, you'll be a much more confident and smooth speaker. You'll and ah less. You'll be a better storyteller. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, sure.
What we can try next is the ability to say what we see, level 1, level 2, level 3, but with images that might have less to talk about. So what I think everyone could do is, if you turn your mics off for a second, let's take a more difficult image like this cinema image. So I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. And so not 30 minutes, that would be that would be extremely difficult. Set a timer for 30 seconds. And just in your own private space, I want you to take 30 seconds to say what you can see level 1. So just try to say exactly what you can see for this image that has less details on it. So 3, 2, 1, 30 seconds, go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. All right, turn your mics back on. So the first question I have for both of you is, was that easier, harder, or the same as the house?
I would say it felt slightly easier than the house, just because I had that first, I guess, iteration practice.
So
I got-
you're better is why it's easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So
What about you? And what about you, Pratibha?
I think it was the same for me.
So it's probably a harder image, but you're slightly better at it, and so it was about the same as the house, a bit like Daniel's experience. What's interesting about this exercise is imagine I was about to do a speech, and instead of opening the speech with, "Hi, my name's Tom Hendrick, and I'm going to talk to you about what I did on the weekend," if I was doing like a speech to say hundreds of people, and I opened with something like this: 2 large popcorn bags sit on the end of brand new red velvet cinema chairs. An empty brand new cinema. Cup holders as far as the eye can see. A spotlight illuminating 2 seats front and center. The movie is about to begin. If I just stop there for a second, does that have the stuff that we were talking about before? That I'm saying visually descriptive words and your brain is participating quietly in your head at the same time that I'm speaking.
yeah, I'd say so. I guess, especially with the movie is about to begin. Yes, I was almost imagining it almost the end of the movie after the event. Well, after it abandoned the cinema, I guess.
Interesting. Now, Ratiba, 2 questions for you. One is, when I did that little introduction, what effect did that have on you? How did it make you feel? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, when you did the whole introduction thing, what I feel like, why I could not do the same, like why I could not remember the right word, or like why I could not see or picture things the way other can.
Interesting.
Like
So
you
that,
have,
you go.
like you have used a popcorn bag, and what I had in my mind, it's a popcorn packet.
Yeah. So
So yeah,
that's
like
another thing.
I
Yeah.
no, please go on.
That's an interesting thing. There's 2 parts to that. One is, when we do visual description, sometimes what we see in our head doesn't always translate to what other people's images. And that's the thing that we can improve upon as storytellers. So I could say 2 large popcorn bags on the front of 2 red velvet chairs. The popcorn containers are red with white pinstripes, with a ruffled edge, with a triangular mountain of popcorn, stuffing them to the brim. And now we've got maybe a closer approximation of the image I'm seeing versus the image that's appearing in your head. The second thing we can talk about is, and this, I'm really interested to hear this from you, Pratibha, is where on that aphantasia spectrum that you find yourself on. When I described the apple turning into a diamond with the leaf on it, did you find that easy to visualize, or did you find that hard to visualize?
It was easy to visualize, but like what I find difficult is to tell others what I have like in my head.
Yeah. So that's the thing that we need, we can improve on, is like we can see images clearly in our head, but how do we get them into other people's head? Out of interest, Pratibha, if it was easy for you to see the apple image that we did at the start of this session, did you find that your brain could see other things that I didn't say? Like, could you see, I don't know, like a worm coming out of the apple? Or could you see the diamond moving or distorting or shimmering in a way that I didn't describe it?
No, like when you said this partially apple, so I what I thought is that like there's an apple and it's shiny, no sparkly, like there's a sparkle stars around it.
Mm.
That's what I.
So maybe you're a bit like Daniel, where you're probably somewhere in the middle of that continuum, but maybe a little bit on the side of having a playful imagination. And so that's a really good thing to know, that you've got, unlike me, who really strains to see images in their head, you've got the ability to see images and remember them easily. And so the next thing we have to work on is that mind-mouth connection, so that your audience can see them as clearly as you can. And someone like me, who really strains to see an image, has worked really hard on my mind-mouth connection. And it's made me a more confident speaker and storyteller, to the point that I can speak without a script, and I can tell stories both with and without preparation. And it's a skill that everyone can learn, and it only takes a few minutes a day for a few days, and you'll be just as good at it as I am. What I want to do in the time that we have available is pick another image. Let's pick a number, Daniel, between 1 and 6, or 2 and 6.
I'll go 5.
5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good one. All right, this is a good one. This is maybe in between the cinema and the house. There's quite a few things to pick on here. So Daniel, I want you to do Say What You See level 2. I'm going to keep the image here. I want you to say what you can see. I'll say change. And then I want you to continue the story. So you'll have an image in your head that we can't see, and you have to get it in our head. You ready?
Yep. So say what I can see. So describe everything, and then continue the story after that. Yeah.
20
say what you
20
can't see.
seconds to say what you see, and then 20 or 30 seconds to continue it. Make sense?
Sounds good. Yep.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
A man in a yellow shirt and green pants is packing his yellow suitcase. The suitcase matches the color of his shirt. He's just putting in his final clothes. He's got his sunglasses, peanuts, and hand wash remaining. He's right next to his bed in the middle of his hotel room.
Change.
He's heading on his trip to go see his wife for the first time in 4 years. So it's only a short hop from Australia to New Zealand, so he hasn't had to pack too much. But he's extremely excited to go land back in the city, because it's been 4 years since he last saw her.
And stop. Cool. So I could see that pretty vividly in my head. So I could imagine them sealing up the suitcase, heading off, outside, and then having this sort of look of like joy and anticipation of getting to the airport, having a short hop to New Zealand to see their loved one. But what was interesting is that in your Say What You See level 2, instead of having like an image in your head that you were saying visually descriptively, you switch to more abstract language. You're like, they're seeing their wife. I have no idea what they look like. They're, going to New Zealand. I don't know how they're getting to New Zealand. Yeah. You mentioned like, because they're going to New Zealand, they don't need to pack very much. These aren't necessarily visually descriptive things, but it's nevertheless, because of what you set up at the beginning, it's still got the stuff of storytelling in it. Pratibha, what are your thoughts?
What I see, there is a woman and she's packing her suitcase, maybe not for a long trip. And there is sunglasses, nuts, mask, maybe sanitizer. Maybe the picture is from quarantine days. And maybe she is going to meet someone, or maybe she is going back her home.
And change. Can you continue the story? And I'll stop you there. Oh, did you want to have a go at continuing the story, Pratibha, or would you like me to recap?
No.
Well, first of all, you did a fantastic job. You went for 20 seconds, and I don't recall hearing an or an of saying what you could see. You described the mask, the bed, the person, the suitcase, and you were able to do Say What You See level 1 successfully in front of a group of people. So congratulations on public speaking. And the first of many steps in your journey of becoming a confident communicator and a great storyteller. How does that feel? You should be very proud of yourself is how you should feel. And I really applaud you for contributing and for participating and having a go, putting yourself out there. Public speaking is a really hard thing to do. And by giving it a go today, you're creating a lot of adaptation and improvement and stimulus in yourself. This will be one of those things where you might leave today's session a little bit exhausted mentally and emotionally, and you'll wake up tomorrow and you'll have more fitness to be able to do this sort of stuff again. Oh, Prativa, you've turned your video on again. Thank you so much. That's another huge step forward. It's wonderful to see you. Again, I congratulate your courage. I'm very impressed. I'm very, very impressed. If we continue to another image, let's try this one. So this is an interesting image because you could imagine if you were, say, pitching a commercial to Nike, this would be the image in your head, and you're trying to get that in the image of other people so that they will want to pay for your advertisement. Like this is what being a marketer or a creative person looks like. I'll give you a demonstration of what it can look like. Say what you see level 1 and 2, and then it'd be interesting to hear what other people's interpretations of this image would be. So if I were to set a timer for, say, 30 seconds, I'd go, it's 5 a.m. The alarm rings. A woman looks outside at her window. She sees a sea of grey soulless buildings. It's bucketing down with rain. The black bitumen is wet and covered in puddles and moisture. She gets up, she puts on her pink and grey Nike tracksuit, and she goes out into the elements despite the weather because she is working on her fitness and she wants to just do it. Does that make sense? And so you can imagine that image or that storyboard in my head is an engaging, captivating story that could become a commercial, and it could be quite engaging for people to see it on camera. But I've got to get it from my head into the minds of other people. And this is true of storytelling. This is true about proposing ideas at work. You could imagine, like, we always do things this way at work. Let's say what you see level 1. But what if we did them differently? This is what the image would look like. Let's say what you see level 2. And if you do the whole thing without script or slides, the whole thing is say what you see level 3. And so when you develop these skills, you can take them with you. Who wants to have a go at say what you see level 1, 2, or 3? If you say level 3, I'll take the image away. Who wants to have a go?
I'll happily go.
Level 1, 2, or 3?
So for level 3, is it you take that image away and then talk about the same concept, or is it?
Yeah, you get 3 seconds to look at it and then take it away.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So you see level 3?
I'll try level 3. See how it goes.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Imagine a woman waking up in her bed. It's pitch black. The sun is still down. She gets up, gets changed despite the extremely cold air and the pitch blackness around her. She puts on her Nike shoes and black pants and a pink and black jacket. It's freezing outside. You can see her breath in the air as she starts to leave the house. She starts running and
stopped. Well done.
Yeah.
That's very good. So you see level 3, I could see the image in my mind. In addition to the image, I could see what you were adding to it as well. That's really cool. Prativa, would you like level 1, level 2, level 3? What would you like?
I think I will try level 3 too.
Level 3 as well. Very good. All right. Well, here's the image. I'm going to set the timer for 30 seconds, and I'm going to take it away. Whenever you're ready, I'll take it away. Ready?
Yeah. Okay, so the girl is running in LA. There is gray building around it, and there is also a big, tall fence around around the right side of the building. The girl is wearing pink and black tracksuit. Maybe it's early morning, and and uh, and the streets. is moist.
And stop. That's very good. The timer was actually 36 seconds. I let you go for a little bit longer to see if you had something to add to the end of it, but you got through the 30 seconds. I was just going to see if you if you're on a roll and keep going, but you got across the 30 seconds. You were able to describe a woman, the color, what she was doing, the weather, the floor, that mind-mouth connection, that ability for your brain to behave, be under your control, to help you tell stories and be engaging is always improving every element that you do, every attempt that you do. And so another round of applause for both of you. This is a really difficult skill and it requires, attempt to do it. And another thing that I'll mention is that this is a hard skill and it gets easier. The reason why it's hard is because your brain is wired in a certain way to be able to reach into memories, understand them, turn them into words, and then get them out your mouth. There's a lot of steps that need to be followed in your brain in order to make that easy and successful. But a lot of people aren't trained to do this. This is the first time they've ever done like a say what you see exercise. And so if you imagine your brain is like a city, and if you've got roads, driving along those roads is really fast and really like clear and easy. I'm asking you to do a new skill. So you don't have a road down yet. It's like going off-road, and now there's like grass and fences and rocks, and it's a really bumpy ride. The words don't come easy. It's stressful. It's exhausting, right? But when I ask you to do it a second time and a third time, that road is more traveled. The grass gets trampled. The rocks get cleared away. The fences get knocked down, and you can do it easier and faster, and it's less effort, and it's more successful every time you do it. Eventually, you'll have done it so many times that your brain will build a road where once there was grass and rocks and just obstacles in your way. And that's the stuff of neuroplasticity, of learning new skills, of getting better at something. Because you've spent your whole life speaking, this skill is far easier to learn than, say, a musical instrument or another language or a sport or learning to juggle or play golf or any of those things. If you just spend, say, 20 minutes to an hour every day for, say 4 days in a row, you will be significantly better at this skill. Even if you just do these sessions for an hour every Friday, if you can make them as often as you can, your skills will just continuously improve. And in only about 4 sessions or so, you potentially could be in a room of 100 people in the top 10 communicators. A lot of people don't practice this, and the fact that you both are investing in this means that you're doing something that is very, very important. Communication is one of the most important things in life, and other people, you're investing in something like that other people aren't investing in, and so that'll give you like an edge when it comes to the workplace, job interviews, storytelling, creating content on YouTube or a podcast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so the last thing I'd like to talk about is what's next. So we've got these images. I'll make them live on the workshop. I'll send you also the recording of this video so that you can review. There's also another video that I've done ahead of time where you'll be able to hear these explanations in a little bit more detail from me. If you come next Friday, we'll be continuing this ability. We'll use a little bit of say what you see, but we'll also be putting it into a story circle structure. We might not do the whole story circle, but we'll learn to tell a story by taking the words, and we'll start by talking about a character, an ordinary character in their ordinary world. And then something happens to them, so they must react in some way. And then they go to a new world, and we might stop the story there. If you've ever seen stories like The Lion King, there's a lot of very powerful stories that have lasted the test of time, which follow this particular structure. It's a very powerful structure developed by a gentleman called Joseph Campbell, continued by Disney's storytelling consultant, Chris Vogler. And so this is a really powerful storytelling structure that you can use to not just say what you see, but also create conflict and characters and settings and the stuff that really, really engages people. It's a very, very powerful professional storytelling structure, and it's something that you can learn very quickly. And what I'd like to share is, if you're really interested in this stuff, or you have friends and colleagues who are really interested in this stuff, there's other things that you can do. So storytelling is only one of the public speaking skills that we teach. We also teach how to speak confidently without a script, things like answering questions in a job interview, answering questions from a crowd, or if you're ever asked to, like at a birthday, like, oh, Daniel, it's your mum's birthday. You say a few words, how to handle situations where you're thrown under the bus like that. Always new content on the YouTube channel, so check that out. Also, if you want one-on-one training, your first 1 hour session is free. And if you want to make subsequent training more affordable, I've mentioned before, you can refer a friend, you can leave a review, you can pay the same day. These are all ways of making it cheaper. Oh, don't do that. It'll make the settings go crazy. I'll stop presenting there. I'd like to finish by just asking what people got out of today's session. What did you learn? And what did you learn and what would you like to learn next?
So I got using the, I guess, descriptive languages things. I guess it's very rare to describe a picture on the spot for me. I guess most of the time you've seen a picture, I've been working on it for several hours. So building that intuition to be able to just describe things on the spot is quite good for me. I guess, and the things, the second part was things I want to work on in the future. I think related directly to this or in general.
Either way, yeah, related, say a specific thing you might want to do.
So a specific thing I want to learn is if there's sort of like, I guess, not aggressive Q&A, but like intensive Q&A and being able to answer all those questions on the spot. Particularly, I guess, if they're tough questions or different to how I've thought about problems in the past, is one of the things I want to learn, which I think is somewhat related to this skill of being able to describe an image you haven't seen before.
Great. So it definitely can be incorporated in that, and the repeat and count skill is really good for answering questions under pressure in particular. I'll send you our repeat and count content. I'll also, if you want to do a free one-on-one session, we can focus on that specifically for your situation too.
Yeah.
Prativa, what did you learn today, and what would you like to do next?
I learned about first picture descriptions, like how to describe things like how to tell others to like what you are seeing or what you are imagining. I have never done this before. I was seriously, I'm nervous, but I'm feeling a bit better. Like I'm not that nervous I was before starting of the session. So yeah, and I think I would do this exercise often of picture descriptions. I think it would really help me.
I'm really, really happy to hear that. And one thing I want to say that I've learnt today and that I want to see next time is that I've learnt today that both of you are really passionate and committed about improving the skills that you already have. And it's really admirable and courageous to see you in particular, Prativa, go from maybe deciding to be a spectator, like today, to turning on your camera, to having multiple attempts, and even impressively doing the Say What You See level 3 exercise, and really throwing yourself in there and doing a really good job as well. And I guess what I'd really love to see in the future is whether you continue doing these free Friday sessions or you do one-on-one coaching, that you take the resources that are freely available on this website and you do yourself a favor and just practice them enough so that you get you become very familiar and masterful in them. Because once you've got them, you'll have them forever. Once you've done, say, 20 minutes a day for 4 days in a row or an hour a day every week for 4 weeks, you'll get to this wonderful, it's like riding a bike phase where it's a skill that you have. It's weird not to do it correctly. Your brain has those bridges forever in their head, those roads like forever in your head. And it's just it's a skill that you'll be able to do. In the same way that when I pick up a pen, I don't have to think about how to hold it correctly. It's weird not to hold it correctly. Public speaking is exactly the same. Once you've mastered the Say What You See technique, it's like riding a bike. You've got it forever. And so all you have to do is do a little bit more work, just a little bit consistently every day for a few days, and you'll get to that wonderful final place in your skill development. and it'll be a skill that you'll have forever, and it will serve you for job interviews, for proposing ideas to people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it'll also give you a lot of confidence as well. And with that, that's our free hour. It's been an absolute privilege and a pleasure working with both of you today. I'm glad you got some value out of it. I'd love if you could tell your friends and your family, your colleagues. I'm looking to make this movement grow. I just want to make public speaking as easy, as practical, accessible, and as safe for people as possible. So thank you all today. Hope to see you next week.
Cool. Thank you for that. I'll see you next week.
Thanks very much.